Today we have Kehinde Ayobade with us. He is a graduate civil engineer and he has since become a notable figure in the African BIM scene. He started out his career as a student ambassador for BIM Africa. He has since gone on to be a BIM technician and computational designer in Bulgaria. He has worked as a C# developer at Bayer and is the founder slash CEO of KS Digital Innovations. He has created a set of structural plugins which are freely available in the Autodesk online marketplace. And he started his journey as a self-taught developer, and now he has published his own set of tools that are available to the public. So he's going to be sharing a little bit of his journey with us today so that we can also learn on our own C# developer journey. So thank you so much for joining us today, Kehinde.
Thank
Appreciate
you
you
very much,
doing this.
Victoria. Thank you for
So,
having me.
so firstly, you started your career in civil engineering. How did you get into BIM?
It was when BIM Africa came to, I think, reached out to schools, universities
Mm-hmm.
across Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and they were saying something about there's this new way of working in the construction industry,
Mm-hmm.
which is BIM, and they wanted to sensitize students about how to
Mm-hmm.
go about it.
Mm-hmm.
They felt that was the best way to reach the industry if they can reach students.
Mm-hmm.
So I and my friend,
Mm-hmm.
we registered for the program. That was the student advocacy program,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I got to understand what BIM was about. And then we had this small event where we gathered some of our students, some of our friends and lecturers, and taught them what we were taught.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, I think some other students, some other schools in Africa also
Mm-hmm.
did the same thing. And by virtue of doing that, we came third position across
Mm-hmm.
Africa, representing my university. So that was
That's
the beginning of my BIM journey.
That's amazing. So, for those of you who don't know, BIM Africa is a non-governmental organization. They have activities throughout Africa, but their head office is in Nigeria. And they go around educating people on BIM. They do a yearly Africa BIM report to measure the level of BIM maturity that we've achieved as a continent. And it is published in a yearly report with statistics and facts and figures. So it's really great to see that a lot of the work that they're doing has actually yielded results. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into the core of why we are having this conversation today. So a lot of people on my channel are learning to code for the first time. I created a channel on purpose for people who were struggling with learning C# and coding for the first time. Not a lot of references out there, to be honest, to teach yourself. So you started out self-taught and now you have your own tools that are published by Autodesk. Anyone can download them. How did
Yeah.
you start learning how to code?
Okay. For me, it was a self-taught journey, and I don't think that should be the case for any other person. If I had mentorship during my time, I would have gone for it. I would have looked for someone who knew how to code, especially for our industry.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not see anyone, so I had to start the journey myself. So like I said, it was self-taught. So what I usually do then,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would say that it took me so much time to actually learn what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
If I had a mentor, it wouldn't have taken that
that
long. So
long.
I felt okay. During that time when I was learning, I had to just jump on different YouTube videos, courses, thinking I was actually growing in the knowledge, but I
Spending
was
a
just
lot of
amassing
time just watching videos.
exactly,
Yes.
yeah, amassing a lot of knowledge, and I'm not really moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I later on discovered, I think along the journey, I later on discovered how to approach my learning process.
Mm-hmm.
So when I discovered that method, it's really skyrocketed how I learned any program or learned
Mm-hmm.
any tool at all,
Mm-hmm.
as it relates to our industry. So
Mm-hmm.
for Python, C# that I learned, I discovered that you learn the basics first, the syntax, how to write simple codes with these programming languages, and then you jump on a project immediately. You don't have to go to any other channel or maybe YouTube page or something to find out what you've not learned. No,
Just
if you've
start
learned the
working on
basics,
something immediately.
exactly, jump on a project immediately. So for C Sharp, which is the basis of the Revit plugin I created, I learned how to create a plugin in just less than 6 months. Of course, that
Okay.
was still too much. It's too much
I
time.
mean, yeah,
But
without mentorship, yeah, it does take
without
about
mentorship,
6
yeah, it
months.
was too
Yeah.
much time. So
Yeah.
I felt okay. I could have done better. Now knowing now with the experience I've gotten so far, I could have done better within a shorter time. So I learned how to code C Sharp, the basic of C Sharp on W3 Schools, which is the popular channel that most people use to learn any programming language these days. And I jumped on, I saw a blog post by Autodesk on how to create my first Revit plugin. So I jumped on that, and by jumping on that project, I discovered that I was even learning faster. I was learning what I don't know faster because I would see something I don't know on that page. I'll quickly go to Google or somewhere, maybe on YouTube, and figure out what that thing is. And then I'll be able to implement or understand what the blog was trying to do there. So that way I was getting to understand, okay, this is how to code Revit API, this is how to understand the Revit API. It was basically by learning
Having a
the basics
project,
exactly and
learn the
jumping on that
basics,
project exactly.
absolute basics, which you can actually learn on my channel because I have a whole beginner series and I have
Exactly.
several
Yeah.
beginner
Yeah. Your
videos.
channel is the best place now to go to.
I actually started
Apparently.
this channel because a lot of the resources, unfortunately, for C Sharp Revit API are text. So they are like web pages, like the Building Coder
Yeah.
website, books that you have to read. We have a few YouTube channels that are talking about C Sharp, but they're not condensed. You have to spend maybe hours listening to a whole video
Yeah.
to get to the
Very
point.
true.
And like what you've said, it's actually more important to start working on something right away than spending more time
Correct.
watching videos, The videos are helpful. I've also learned a lot from making them, but I think actually having a problem to solve, which I'm hoping to gradually evolve away from beginner style content to actually just start solving things. I'm just
Yeah.
hoping that people are able to, because C Sharp, I think there's a misconception that C Sharp is difficult, but it's kind of like learning to speak a language like maybe Mandarin or German. It's really understanding the language, and then you can actually just communicate in the same way you would in any other language. The
Exactly.
communication, which is like the programming, is not any different, but the language itself is a bit wordy. So you have to get used to the words and how you
Yeah. Yeah.
call
It's
things. It's a little bit
exactly. Yeah.
wordy. And once you get used to that, it's the same logic that you would use in Python or any other language, except now you're able to actually directly access the Revit API without any kind of compiler in between to translate from one
Yeah.
language to the other.
And I would
So,
like to just
yeah,
add something. Yeah.
sure.
Like you said, C sharp might seem very hard to learn or hard to understand, but really that's not the case. I'll usually suggest to anyone that wants to learn C sharp that if you can actually take some time to learn Python, yeah, it's
Probably,
not
yeah.
really the yeah if you could it's not really the best route, but I'm just suggesting it based on my own experience. If you could take some time to learn Python, I think you can learn or understand any other programming language easily and quickly.
That
Because
is true.
Python is kind of very simple to learn. It's the fastest programming language to learn currently. So
Very true.
jumping on that before jumping on C sharp, I think will help you shorten your C sharp journey.
That is very true. Learning a simple language like Python, it gives you a confidence that you can actually code and then you start to
Yeah,
try other things. But for me, what I found is learning something difficult first makes everyone is kind of different in how they learn. For
yeah, true.
me, learning something difficult first makes it easy to tackle other things because now I've sort of
True.
overcome a bigger challenge. Because for some people, learning Python at first is also difficult because coding on its own is something new. We're not really used to it. But when you've learned something a bit more intricate, like C sharp, and you go back to Python, it's like child's play. You're just like,
Yeah, that's
you're
true
just coding very
actually.
easily.
Yeah,
So yeah.
really. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you come about creating your set of tools? Tell us about the KS plugin, what it
Okay.
does.
All right. Yeah. For me, I felt like I needed to meet a need.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked as a structural engineer for the past 5 years. No, let's
Mm-hmm.
say 4 to 5 years actually in the industry. That's been my practice.
Mm-hmm.
And because of by virtue of my work, I could see certain loopholes in the way we work, the way we create, or the way we do our designs and the way we
Mm-hmm.
document our designs. And
Mm-hmm.
usually there are lots of manual processes involved, lots of redundant tasks. And I
Mm-hmm.
felt okay, because I use Revit most of the time to create my documentation.
Mm-hmm.
Once I'm done with my design, I use Revit to get out my drawings and
Mm-hmm.
publish my drawings. And I discovered that if I continue this way, some of my clients might not come back to me because Revit is so cumbersome. It takes a lot of steps to achieve just one goal. Yeah, if you use Revit
Unfortunately,
very
yes.
well,
That's
unfortunately, yeah,
why, unfortunately, the question of do you need to learn coding? I think after a while you get exhausted with how long it takes to do simple things.
exactly. Because most of them are actually manual, very, very
Yes.
manual.
Yes.
And I got tired. I got tired and I felt okay. Um, I won't say that it is getting tired that got me into building Revit plugins. Though the
Mm-hmm.
passion was part of it, passion
Mm-hmm.
to actually solve a problem.
Yeah.
But when I jumped on and my profession, I started seeing that okay, I have to work hard to just achieve something simple. And I
Mm-hmm.
started seeing some other guys online
Mm-hmm.
publishing okay, this is what how I did this task, a task that I used like 2 days to to
To
complete.
complete, yeah.
And I'm seeing someone maybe on LinkedIn or YouTube
Yeah.
like using a custom built plugin to solve. And I was interested.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me check out these plugins that this person has created. And
Mm-hmm.
I discovered that this is something I can't afford. It's a bit expensive. Person put
Mm-hmm.
a cost on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt okay, if I could do this myself, I
Mm-hmm.
have to start okay the whole process of learning C sharp and then jumping on my first Revit plugin, which is on Autodesk blog. And then I and picked some of the tasks I knew were taking so much of my time,
Mm-hmm.
and I started looking forward to solve them. Well, there's also a background story to that. It took about 1 year for me to publish my
What was the
plugin.
process like from coding
Okay.
to publishing to getting it approved?
All right. Okay. From coding, well, I had to identify the problem that I want
Mm-hmm.
to solve or the problems I want to solve because
Mm-hmm.
there are many of them. I've still not
Yeah,
solved all of them.
most of them. And how long did it
Most
take
of,
you to build the set of tools that like addressed the challenges you found?
okay. If I look at, okay, I think I built about 30 tools, like
Mm-hmm.
if you count them,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me 2 months to learn C sharp
Mm-hmm.
and then learn the Revit API. Then it took me 4 months to
Mm-hmm.
start building or to build this plugin.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned C sharp. I built. I identified all the problems I want to solve, and then
Mm-hmm.
I started taking them one after the other.
Mm-hmm.
For example, now I want to automatically create views for my column and beam elements in Revit. That's
Mm-hmm.
a problem. I have to start drawing those sections
Mm-hmm.
manually,
Mm-hmm.
which takes a lot of time. Imagine you are working on a 32-story building. It's a lot of work.
It
So
is.
I identified all those things and then started writing codes for them one
Mm-hmm.
after the other.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I needed a proper understanding of the Revit API.
Mm-hmm.
And so many YouTube videos helped me to achieve that. Of course, because I forgot to mention something. I had learned prior to the time I had learned Dynamo and had built competence in Dynamo. So some of the plugins I was actually building, I already done them, I already created them with Dynamo. So I was solving those problems already with Dynamo when I thought I could actually publish something for the public to use as well. So I got help from lots of YouTube channels like Gavin from the guy's videos are awesome. I also got lots of help from which other so many channels I guess
A
I
lot
can't
of
remember how
channels,
many.
and Dynamo
Yeah,
actually helps you to start thinking like a programmer
exactly,
more and more. Yeah.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So then after putting all the plugins together, one thing I failed to do was to publish the plugins as I was building them. If I had completed one problem, I should have published immediately. So I was
Mm,
waiting to have a very holistic plugin,
I
which was
see.
taking so much time.
To
Yeah.
get to,
So
yeah.
I was feeling like you need to add this, you need to add that, you need to add this, you need to add that, because I knew the needs of structural engineers, especially in Nigeria, that you people and structural engineers that use Revit in Nigeria. I knew the needs and okay, you need to add this. I needed something holistic. So it took me a lot of time to compile. That's why it took me about 6 months
Okay.
total.
Mm-hmm.
So when I compiled the plugins together and I was a bit satisfied with okay, the number of tools I had on it,
Mm-hmm.
I felt okay, it's time to publish it on Autodesk App Store. When
Mm-hmm.
I went to Autodesk App Store, I got the shock of my life.
It's not that
The pro
straightforward.
it wasn't straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God. So I just decided that okay, let me come up with my website. Let me build my website and then put the plugin there. So I
Mm-hmm.
came up with a very simple website and attached the plugin there for Revit version 2022. At the
Mm-hmm.
time, 2022, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
2022. That's when
Mm-hmm.
I published the first version.
Yeah.
And I felt I was not still satisfied because I needed that plugin to be on Autodesk App Store. That
Yeah.
way I felt okay, I did something for the whole world because I was going to give it out for free. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then I got to Autodesk App Store after publishing on the website. I saw a list of processes that I had to understand because they have a list. I don't know if
You could
I can
share,
share my
yes.
screen. So here's the page on Autodesk App Store. You can
Awesome.
easily I've had 5-star reviews, wonderful reviews on how useful the plugin has been to the
Mm-hmm.
users.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's compatible for Revit versions 2021 to 2024. And
Okay.
I quickly wanted to share the publisher corner.
Right.
There is getting started guide that
Which is how
everyone
you
has to read. Yeah,
this is how you get your
it's
app published. Okay.
exactly. So you go through it. It's a lot, a lot of information to process.
What's
But
the key
however,
thing? Let's say what's the most difficult thing you have to actually do here? I see
okay,
you have to make your logo, your icon.
all right. So I think yes, the logo, which is one important thing that they asked for. I was using I thought I could use my company's logo.
Mm-hmm.
They rejected it, said I needed an icon, something that at least represented some, not a letter. So
Right.
yeah, it should not have any letter on it. So I had to get a graphic designer to help me with something quick because I was already desperate.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's why I came up with this.
Mm-hmm.
So on this app store, if I look at the all time, I think I've had up to 603 downloads since
That's
it was
amazing.
published.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
that's
So
it. Since it was published 2022.
two
Yeah,
and if
2023
600
rather.
people have
2023.
downloaded it in one
Yeah,
year. So
in one
between
year.
when
Yeah.
you published it, or rather when it was ready, how long did it take you to meet all the Autodesk requirements and then get it approved?
Okay. Okay. When I started the process,
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to share my conversation with Autodesk. I think the person in charge of the App Store.
Mm-hmm.
It took, and I looked at it, it started sometime September 2022. I started September 2022. I
Mm-hmm.
could only publish it December 2023 because they keep finding out bugs here and there. It was not working for this version. It has to work for the latest version.
So
Any plugin you have,
yeah, it goes through a lot of tests.
a lot of tests,
Okay.
and that test took 1 year, one full year. So
Okay.
yeah, so this is the downloads, and there are so many information you have to put in here and
Okay.
there.
So can we see what it looks like in Revit?
Okay, what it looks like in Revit, definitely. Yeah.
Just one example.
All right. So let's just use this. I'd like to give this a mark so that I can see the full functionality. Let's say
In
W1
elevation?
something. Yes,
Okay.
elevation.
So this plugin takes your component and creates an elevation for it. So you can do your
Exactly.
details. Okay.
Exactly. So all mark.
So you're leveraging the wall mark
Yeah, I cannot select the
and
full.
selecting the walls with the same wall mark, and it's created an elevation on its own. So now you can do
Exactly.
your
So and gives
details.
it the name.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can do your
I-
details
I'm
easily.
I'm I'm pretty sure some architects will find this useful as well. So I think the tools
Yeah.
are very good. Is there anywhere people can have like a tutorial of how to use all of them?
Yes, yes, definitely. So if I'm
Okay.
to bring in yeah, on my YouTube channel,
Yep.
let me share. So you just type in CADS Digital Innovations.
So
Yeah,
on KS Digital Innovations YouTube channel, anyone who wants to learn
yeah,
about the tool can
exactly.
learn about
So
all the tools. Good. So
yes,
this is
a
like your own
playlist.
support.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I have all the for example, if I want to copy rebars.
Okay. That's very, very helpful. I think anyone who's a structural engineer watching this will find it useful to go and go through these videos and learn how to use the tools. So you're
Yes,
actually able to copy rebars across. Wow, that's really, really,
exactly,
really helpful. Amazing.
exactly.
Saves
And
a
so many
ton
other
of time.
functionalities. Yeah,
Awesome. So thanks for showing us this. In the last few minutes we have,
yeah.
what words of encouragement do you have for someone who is starting out as an engineer and thinking about coding or doing something with code and
Yeah.
worried that, because I believe there's a worry that you will never be as good as someone who trained as a software engineer, or you
Mm.
will, there's just a lot of fears, I guess, for people who are starting for the
Yeah.
first time. So do you have anything you could say to encourage someone who stumbled
Really,
upon my
actually,
channel and wondering if they should keep coding?
yeah, actually, my encouragement might sound controversial,
Mm-hmm,
a bit, because it's just how I see the
mm-hmm,
industry.
mm-hmm.
I think most of our work um might be can be termed monotonous. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially if you're an engineer, because
yeah,
there are processes you just have to follow. You do the same process over and over again on every project you work on. You
yeah,
get so
yeah,
you design, you document, send out drawings, you analyze everything that you will do. You repeat on every project. So the
yeah.
level of creativity is not really
Mm-hmm,
on the high. So I would say creativity in our industry comes from experience.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, so you must have worked on that same thing for maybe 20 years, or you can
mm-hmm,
now and you solve problems easily because you have done that thing many times.
mm-hmm,
But now, why I'm saying this is because if you are someone that really loves to use your mind,
mm-hmm,
you want to create something new, you want to
mm-hmm,
be creative, I
mm-hmm.
think you need to jump on the code aspect, the
Programming, yeah.
software, yeah, programming aspect of our profession.
We have a lot of tools that don't work well for us. That's the challenge we
Mhm.
all keep having, is that all of these tools, they keep coming out, but they're not really solving the problems we have
Yes,
because
exactly.
we are not getting involved in at
In the
least
creation
in the
process.
creation, at least up to the point where you can tell the people making the tool, if they're saying it can't be done, you can tell them actually it can, and this is
Yeah,
how.
definitely.
So
Exactly.
you figure out how to implement it, but this is how you get it done because I've worked it out and it actually does work.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would say it gives you an edge. It gives you an edge because if you are picking out problems to solve
Mm-hmm.
that are unique to your environment, unique to your country,
Mm-hmm.
um, because trying to adapt some of these tools that are already existing to what you do, to
Mm-hmm.
your profession, to your work, might not work because they did not create it for your own terrain, for your own landscape. So if you want to solve problems that are unique to your profession, to
context.
the
Yeah.
industry, yes.
Yeah.
So I think it is very, very wise to actually jump on the programming side and actually create things with
Do you
your
think
programming
people
skills.
need to be extremely intelligent or
You
something?
don't need to. You don't need to. You should just. I think the only thing you need basically is the passion, the
Yes.
drive to actually solve a problem.
And the interest.
So, and the interest, yes. I think the interest will come because of the passion. So if
True.
you have a passion to solve problems and you really want to do it, you want to be a part of the process solving that problem. You would like to learn how to code and then pick out problems that you know technology and coding can actually solve. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say, yeah, professional to jump on coding, no matter how interesting you or not you think it is. I think it's the way the world is going now.
Mm-hmm.
People need solutions to their problems, and the best way, especially for our industry that is still trying to adapt lots of new technologies to what we do, the best way to do things now is to actually start creating solutions to our problems. So, and technology is at the center of all of this. So really, if you're an engineer, if you're an architect, whatever it is, and whatever profession you belong to, I would suggest that you learn how to code. Really, the benefits are massive. It gives you an edge, and also, I think it gives you perspective on how to actually um,
How these
not
tools
just
actually work so that you're less
exactly,
frustrated.
exactly. And
Yeah.
also when you look at the career benefits, really it's a big one. The prospect is very high. The money
True.
part, yeah, I think it is
It's very
lucrative.
encouraging.
Merging both of them, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, and I think as well, I believe anyone who is intelligent enough to have an architecture or engineering degree is already quite intelligent enough to learn coding. I think you've already
I'm telling you.
at that at that
You're
point
qualified.
you've conquered something already extremely difficult. So
Yeah, 5 years, 6 years in the
yeah,
university now.
I think coding
It's
is
enough.
very
Your brains
doable.
are well open for it.
And you could start small, like you said. You could start with Python or
Yeah, you can start with
Dynamo.
Victoria's course. Very important.
Thank you for plugging back.
Yeah.
But I do putting a lot of effort to make my videos simple, and I'm hoping it's coming across.
Yeah,
Thank you so
definitely.
much for sharing this. I really wanted to show people that there is a future for learning to code on your own. It doesn't really, it's not like just like a hobby on the side where you're just coding on your own and it doesn't amount to anything. It's actually
Yeah.
possible to build something, get it working, get it good, and get it published by Autodesk. And Kenny is very generous. He's very philanthropic, so he's giving it to us for free. But you could
Yeah.
decide to make
We are
a paid tool.
we are doing the business side
Yes,
underground in the
yes.
background actually. Yeah.
So you could actually turn this into a business and just have your own plugin, depending on what it solves. I'm sure a lot of professionals would be happy to have it. So as a closing statement, if there was one resource or tool or something you referred to when you were learning that really made a difference for you, what would it be?
Hmm. That really made a difference. I would say Dynamo.
Learning Dynamo first. Okay. In terms of
Yes,
your
learning Dynamo
learning
first.
how to make, because you had to make the C# Revit API code at least
Yeah.
structured and clean such that Autodesk team could test it. What was your reference for learning how to make
Yeah.
good, clean code?
I would say DiRoots. DiRoots was one reference. I was following them really. I was following them in the background.
Okay.
Every updates they made. There was this, I think one of their workers had a YouTube channel that he published some codes. I followed
Okay.
through all those videos and those things. And
Okay.
then one other company was CADS RC. CADS RC, they also,
Okay.
and they were like, they inspired me as well. So
Yeah.
basically,
Thank you so much for doing this. Please
thank
let
you.
us know if we can see your code for free online somewhere for those who want to see how
Yeah,
you code with
definitely.
it.
I published all my Dynamo codes on my GitHub, and
Awesome.
I'll send the link to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend and
Thank you too.
let's
Thank you for
hope
having me.
We hope everyone enjoys this and finds it useful as they learn how
Yeah.
to code. All right. Bye.